Hello my dear students, welcome back. So in the last videos we studied about the cell membrane or plasma membrane. Clear? Now today we are going to study about the cell wall. Even though about the cell wall I taught you in the case of prokaryotic cell. Clear? But here we are going to study about the cell wall exclusively in the eukaryotic cell. So basically in the eukaryotic cell there are two types of eukaryotic organism in which this cell wall is present, and they are plants and fungi. Clear? And one more thing you should know, that this cell wall is non-living structure. Cell wall is a non-living structure which forms the outermost covering in the fungi and the plants. Clear? So cell wall is an outermost non-living covering surrounding the plasma membrane The meaning of this is that this cell wall is present outside the plasma membrane. So cell wall is an outermost non-living covering surrounding the plasma membrane of fungi and plants. Some of you may get confused between the fungi and the plant. Okay, because so far I have not studied about them much in detail, but I want to tell you here that plants and fungi both are different. Okay, about them you will study in the first unit. So the basic difference I want to tell you, even though both of them, plants and fungi, both of them possess the cell wall, but this fungi are heterotrophic and these plants are autotrophic. Autotrophic means they can prepare their own food, and whereas this fungi, they are heterotrophic means they are dependent on some other living organisms. They are dependent on some other organisms for their food. So this is the basic difference between these two. But both of them possess the cell wall. But my question is whether the cell wall that is present in plant as well as fungi, both of them have the same chemical nature or they have the different chemical nature. So here I want to tell you that in fungi, cell wall is composed of, very important, this name is chitin. So in the case of fungi, the cell wall is made up of chitin. Okay, but what about the case of plants? In the case of plants, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Okay, here also some special cases are there that I will discuss, but in general I am telling, in plants, cell wall is composed of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Okay, some special cases are there that I will discuss. For example, I want to discuss about the algae, because in the case of algae, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, galactans, mannans, and even it has some minerals also like calcium carbonate. Okay, so in a note you write down, that algae, remember this algae are also plants only. These algae are considered as one of the most primitive plant. So algae have cell wall made up of cellulose, galactans, mannans and minerals like calcium carbonate, okay. So here I'm telling that in the case of plant cell, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin, but exclusively this algae are considered as the primitive plants. In them, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, galactans, mannins, and even it has the minerals also like calcium carbonate. Clear? Now a small heading where I done. Types of cell wall. Types of cell wall. So the cell wall basically it can be of three types: primary cell wall, then secondary cell wall, and third one is tertiary cell wall. So three types of cell walls are present: primary cell wall, secondary cell wall, and tertiary cell wall. So what is the basic difference between these three that we have to see? So the first formed cell wall. So what happens when the cell division take place? Obviously that I will teach you. So when the cell division take place, the cell wall formation take place. Clear? So the first wall that is formed around the cell, that is nothing but the primary cell wall. So the first formed cell wall is primary. Okay, means the first cell wall that will be formed around the cell, that will be which one? Primary. Clear? Then what is secondary cell wall? What happens when the cell differentiation and cell maturation take place? The primary cell wall will start to get disintegrate, or it will start to get degenerate, and inner to the primary cell wall, secondary cell wall is formed. Okay, so inner to the primary cell wall, secondary cell wall is formed, and that is present in the mature cells. Remember, the secondary cell wall will always be formed inner to the primary cell wall. Clear? Means we can say the cell wall that is formed in a mature cell after the formation of primary cell wall is called as what? Secondary cell wall. So cell wall present inner to primary cell wall in a mature plant cell is secondary cell wall. Okay, so this is the secondary cell wall. Then what is this tertiary cell wall? Usually this tertiary cell wall is not formed in most of the plants. In some plants only what happen, inner to the secondary cell wall, tertiary wall is also formed. Okay, mainly in the case of the gymnosperms, we can see in the case of gymnosperms what happen, inner to the secondary cell wall, a tertiary wall is also formed, and this is very rigid and tough. That's why if you can see, the gymnosperms are very hard and rigid because of the presence of the tertiary cell wall. So it is rarely present. inner to the secondary cell wall. So it is rarely present inner to the secondary cell wall. Clear? But remember, it is rarely present, it is not very much common. So these three are the types of cell wall. Clear? Now, function of cell wall. Function of cell wall. So what are the functions of cell wall? One function that is very common, that is provides mechanical strength, or we can say it provides protection to the cytoplasm, or we can say it provides protection to the protoplasm. Clear? So that is very common function. So it gives mechanical strength to the cells. Clear? Second function you will write down, that is a very uncommon function, that it's prevent the infection. Okay, so it prevent infection to the cell. Okay, this function is very uncommon because it is clearly mentioned in the NCERT. Clear? Third function you may write down, it prevent bursting of the cell. Bursting of the cell. And fourth function that is also very important, that it is involved in cell to cell interaction. It is involved in cell to cell interaction by the formation of plasmodesmata. This is very important. So this function is, these two functions, especially this second one and fourth one, these two are very important because they are little uncommon function. Otherwise these two functions are very much common, first one and third one. So here just I want to explain this point. It is involved in the cell to cell interaction by the formation of plasmodesmata. Means here you should know that what is the meaning of plasmodesmata. Okay, so a small heading, plasmodesmata. So small heading I am writing here, plasmodesmata. So what is the meaning of plasmodesmata? What happens? The adjacent cells in a plant, they are interconnected to each other. Clear? Suppose if I am drawing here a plant cell, then here also an adjacent plant cell I am drawing. Then here this is the cell wall. Here also cell wall is there. So what happened at the junction of the two plant cells? There lies some interdigital connections. Interdigital means like this. Interdigits. Digits means finger. Inter means in between. So by the modification of cell wall, interdigital connections are present between the two adjoining plant cells. And this interdigital connection between the adjoining plant cells, they are nothing but the plasmodesmata. Because what happens? Through these interdigital connections, the transport between these two cells take place. Which type of cells are transported? Like proteins, minerals, okay, enzymes. They all are transported between these two. Clear? So you may write down. In between the adjoining plant cells, there is presence of interdigital connections, which are called as plasmodesmata. Okay, so these are the interdigital connections in between the plant cells which are called as plasmodesmata. Now suppose if somebody asks you that what is the function of plasmodesmata, that I already discussed to you, that it is involved in the cell to cell interaction. Clear? Now one more thing you should know, that you may write in a note. So basically 2 points I will give. First point is regarding the middle lamella. So what is the meaning of middle lamella? So here you can see the adjoining cells, they are held together, they are glued together, they are held together. So how they are held together? Do you think that any glue is there? Because without any glue, here only 2 cells are there, but like this many more cells are there, thousands of cells are there. So how they are glued together, or we can say how they are associated together. So what happened? At the junction of these cells, they have cementing material that is made up of mainly calcium pectate and magnesium pectate, and that cementing material is nothing but the middle lamella. So middle lamella is a cementing layer between the adjoining plant cell which hold them together, Clear? So this is how the adjacent plant cells, they are held together. One more thing you should know, that what is the chemical composition of middle lamella. So this middle lamella is mainly composed of calcium and magnesium pectate. So middle lamella is composed of calcium and magnesium pectate. Okay, so this is the first point of note. Second point of note is regarding the desmotubule. So what is the meaning of desmotubule? So what happens, it is seen that sometimes in between the adjacent plant cells, you know that this plasmodesmata is there. But what happens through this plasmodesmata, this endoplasmic reticulums, they are also present. They are channeled between these two adjacent cells. Okay, so such modified plasmodesmata which have endoplasmic reticulum is called as what? Desmotubule. So sometimes endoplasmic reticulum tubule is present throughout the plasmodesmata, which is called desmotubule. So this desmotubule, they are nothing but the endoplasmic reticulum, but that is present in the plasmodesmata. So this is all about the cell wall. Now in the next video, I will start endomembrane system. Thank you.